So what better way to compliment a worst of list than a best of list? And while this year has been kinda lacking, there have been a few movies I'm more than happy to look fondly on. Films like Wendell and Wild, Duel, Breaking, The Phantom of the Open, Kimmy, Till, and Elvis. Those movies are all great, but they just couldn't make the top 20 list. So let's get right to it. Starting out the list is Weird Al Yankovic's story. There have been quite a few biopics this year, some good and some mediocre, but this movie pokes fun at the genre while also giving us the wackiness you come to expect from Weird Al. If you haven't seen this movie, do yourself a favor and do so by any means necessary. Next we have Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. This is more of the same as we come to expect from this kind of duo, which is why it's so great and extremely funny. I can safely say I laughed more times than any Disney movie this year combined. Next, you want to talk about a sequel that shared expectations? Let's talk Top Gun Maverick. Now I know this is going to be way higher on other people's lists, but while I'm not as nostalgic to a franchise as a lot of people are, it's not to take away from how well acted, well written, and well executed this whole thing is. Seriously, the flight sequences alone are worth the price of admission. Coming in at number 17 is The Batman. While I personally prefer other Batman movies like The Dark Knight or Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition, Matt Reeves still gives us this great detective story of how Batman truly became the hero he's been known to be. And hopefully James Gunn can use this as a starting point for the DCEU reboot. Next up is The Northman, and this is the kind of historical epic we don't see anymore, and given this movie's box office numbers, it's not hard to see why. But still a scene for the lore, the acting, the visuals, the everything. And it has a climax where Vikings stew on an active volcano, so if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what does. Now once in a while, there's this movie that people said was pretty good, but I saw it and was just blown away. Take the movie Fall, for example. From the first frame, I was captivated by the two protagonist performances and Scott Mann's direction, as they had to survive while being trapped on top of this tower. It wastes no time at building suspense and tension, and you should definitely check this one out. Now we go from tense thriller to a feel-good drama in Brian and Charles. This truly is this generation's Wallace and Gromit, combining British humor and charm, following this lonely inventor and his homemade robot companion as he interacts with society. If you're looking for a fun film for the whole family, this is it. Speaking of overlooked gems, next is Emily the Criminal. Aubrey Plaza plays his college grad who's willing to pay off her student debt by any means necessary, even if it means participating in this credit card scam group, and slowly realizes the mess she's going through. It's well acted, well written, and well worth watching. Next we got...
Nope.
Nope truly is if Jordan Peele directed Close Encounters, combining his brilliant writing with some of the best visual effects and music, as well as some of the tensest scenes of the entire year. Makes me look forward to whatever he's up to next. Number 11 is a movie called Tar. This story about a conductor's downward spiral is portrayed spectacularly by both Todd Field's writing and direction, as well as Cate Blanchett's spellbinding performance. They truly keep you engaged throughout the 2.5-hour runtime. Kicking out the top 10 is Madonna's Advantages and Inisherin. This movie really knows the balance between tragedy and comedy, following these two friends as one suddenly breaks up with the other and they have to deal with the consequences. Definitely a fucking masterpiece if you ask me. Coming in at number 9 is probably the most controversial film on the list, Blonde. This is a movie that people have said was nothing more than an exploitation of Marilyn Monroe, but I didn't really see it that way. I saw it as a compelling dive into her psyche, as various aspects of her life like her childhood, complicated relationships, and being pushed into the spotlight causes her to slowly lose her mind up until untimely death. I'd say see it at least once for Anna de Armas' Oscar-worthy performance. But I may warn you that it's not an easy watch. But what is an easy watch is my number 8, that is Marcella with Shoes On. After a couple of years of mostly mediocre animated films, this year truly cemented my faith in the medium with both this movie and another one we'll get to later. It's a simple story about a tiny little shell who tries to reconnect to his family. I know it's not a deep or thoughtful story, but a simple story is more than enough to charm me enough to make the list. Number 7 is 3,000 Years of Longing. This movie is basically a land for adults in the best way possible. Everything from the acting to the effects to the production values are all A tier, and it really makes me look forward to what Joe Miller is up to next. My number 6 is All Quiet on the Western Front. This truly is the war epic of the decade so far, taking us along the journey of this young man who goes from excited to be a war hero to realizing the reality of a situation. The situation on how war is a waste of time. Now we're getting to the top 5, and next up is a culinary masterpiece in The Menu. This is social satire at its finest, as the brilliant screenplay takes a jab at the fine dining industry, while giving us great performances from Ray Fiennes and Anna Taylor-Joy that'll leave you glued to the screen from the first few minutes to the shocking ending. Number 4 is the next Spielberg classic, The Fablement. This movie truly reminded me why the film business is so special to me, as a fantastic cast and the story help guide us through the protagonist's journey from aspiring student to famous filmmaker. If this doesn't warm your heart by the end, then you're likely dead inside. Now we get to the top 3, and you know they really hit me to my core. Starting with the movie that blew the Disney remake out of the water, Pinocchio. This movie was 14 years in the making, and it was worth every second of it, as everything from the story to the acting to the animation are all top notch, and it might just top the original Disney film to me. Yeah, I said it. As for runner-up, we're gonna get to some emotional stuff with A Whale. This movie truly is a comeback for Brendan Fraser, as he plays this man who's forced to make his last days worth it by reconnecting with his family and generally trying to be a better person than he has ever been. It's also a powerful cautionary tale on what overeating and isolation can do to your body, so do give this a watch if you haven't already. But my number 1 is a movie that was the most fun, most unique, and altogether the most cinematic experience I've had this entire year, and that's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Words can barely describe how I felt throughout this film. I loved it when I first saw it, and the second time I loved it even more, to the point where it's become one of my favorite films. Like, this is the multiverse of madness we all wanted when we saw the Doctor Strange sequel times infinity. Everything about this movie blew me away, from the characters to the story to the effects to the action. This is every film fan's dream, everyone from the art house fanatic to the mainstream superhero junkie, which is why Everything Everywhere is hands down my number 1 film of 2022. So now that this video is done, I can finally put the mediocre 2022 to rest and focus on trying to make better content this year. So look forward to a new year of content on this channel. Hopefully.